can't do much with it.
Yeah. And we're getting into map number 2 right here, and it's on a new interesting map, but we'll talk about that in a second. Here in the bottom left corner, we see from the team, Evil Geniuses, it is HuK. Yay!
And up here on the top left-hand corner, it is Teamless MaSa.
Teamless MaSa.
Yep. Rip. MaSa.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
All right, and once again, we do see that gateway and bear. Oh, no gas burst from MaSa, no proxy Reaper shenanigans.
Yep.
Just gonna be playing for a bit more standard play. This map is very, very weird. So right off the bat, you can see that there's kind of a gold base island between the middle of them.
Yeah.
Could see MaSa potentially float to that, but more importantly, just to the right of the Xel'Naga Watchtower, there is a Gandalf "You Shall Not Pass" bridge, north and south.
Yeah.
Just the narrowest little choke points. There is, you never want to attack through that. That is absolute death.
Something has gone wrong.
Yes. But then to circumvent that, we have the rocks on the right side.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is a really interesting map because the rush distance is so short. But as the game gets longer, the rush distance gets longer because you're expanding away from your opponent.
Clearly going to be cut. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to get down to the actual edges of the new base, it feels like it would almost be main versus main dropping. And it's in a lot of ways, of course, this is reminiscent of the original Scrap Station.
Yes.
But this is almost Scrap Station 3.0 with a lot of new features.
Yeah.
Those narrow entrances were actually in the original Scrap Station, but with rocks on them.
Yes.
Here, the main path is rocked, and the narrow path is available, which actually makes a lot more.
I think it makes a lot more sense.
It makes a lot more sense because you're not. I think at the very beginning of the game, they thought like, oh, this is an advantage to sneak through. No, you're totally going to die. So that's the one we're going to give you, and then if you want the path later, the rocks will do it.
Which does make sense.
Yeah.
And we did see the Pro Scout get denied some nice stutter step from MaSa.
Yeah.
So HuK is in the dark, and we do see a reactor just finishing up. Just getting those Marines up, got the expansion on the way, and a factory. So we're not going to see any sort of 2 or 3 racks play. Just going for that fast tech. Meanwhile, HuK chronoed out an Adept, is going to use that to poke the front, get a bit of an idea of what's going on.
Yep.
As well as he's getting that early Twilight Council again. Could see some more Blink Stalker play.
Yeah, and I think on this in particular, you're going to want that Blink. You're very vulnerable to air, potentially. Goes in for the scout, doesn't take the blink for it or shade forward.
Decided not to run up the ramp there.
Yeah, well,
looks like he's going to sit there, and he's probably going to be able to kill a worker maybe. Meanwhile, in the main, already picked off 2 with the Mothership Core, but he's going to lose it.
Goes down.
That is...
Yeah, very much.
It's hard to say if that's worth it or not.
Yeah, he gets the 2 workers over here, but in exchange for both the minerals and gas of the Mothership Core,
I think it's probably
the economy, but
probably not worth it, especially since you can save. Yeah, definitely on the math, it's not worth it for sure. But especially once you factor in the lost probe production time, the amount of energy he lost on the Mothership Core, and potential energy it would have had. Yeah, that's a big deal. And we do have a robo coming down again, so it's not going to be any sort of early aggression, not for a little bit at least.
Yeah, we do have that Blink, as you mentioned earlier. He's actually switching his chrono to that. For anyone who doesn't know, the chrono mechanic has changed, and that's a permanent boost with a lower yield. I think it's 22%.
Did they not revert that change?
No, it is still a permanent. Yeah,
interesting.
It's which I wish they would revert that change.
Yeah,
they kept going back and forth in the beta.
Yeah,
but this does seem to be what's stayed live.
We do actually see HuK going up to looks like that's 4 gates. And just 3 gas at the natural. So, yeah, we might be seeing... Okay, he is throwing down a forge. I was going to say we might be seeing some sort of aggression, but looks like he's not going to be doing that. Just chronoing out some observers, getting those defensive gateways to build up an army, but not going to be some sort of 8-gate Blink Stalker build.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, from MaSa, we actually see a tank being built. Could we be seeing tank drops or just some sort of 2-base tank push?
Yeah, I think we are going to get some sort of tank. Well, I think they serve 2 purposes on this map. One, yeah, it's a very droppable map. The other is because of those narrow chokes that we were pointing out earlier, you've got the ramp up in here, so his tank covers that. As you move forward, you're going to be able to cover those chokes very well with the tank.
Yes.
And make them take the long way around. So it gives you a lot of security early on.
And we do see HuK did scout both the factory with the tech lab as well as the tank itself, so he'll have an idea of what's going on. Smartly avoiding that turret too, which is nice. Ooh, is this okay? Just scouting for a hidden base.
Yeah, to make sure it's not down there.
I actually would have really liked to have seen him take that base. That would have been kind of brilliant. Ooh, we do see charge coming out. This is so they've updated charge a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm not even sure actually where they landed on that.
I was hoping you had.
Yeah, I don't actually know because they did change it up until the last minute. I believe it's that they nerfed the original impact damage.
Yes,
but
it's still
other than that, it's the same. Yeah.
Oh, and once again, here's that ramp coming into effect.
And these are not seeds here either.
Yeah, we saw some nice target fire there from HuK, snipes the medevac, but then in response, MaSa turns around and murders the observer.
Yeah,
ooh, big tank
in.
shot.
Yeah.
Doesn't get a kill, but if he'd stuck around about half a second later, would have lost at least 2 stalkers.
Yeah, easily could be hurt. Warp Prism here in the middle on the island.
And we see a tank drop
forward.
And so Blizzard actually recently nerfed the tank drop slightly to make it so that there's a delay on attack, which I think is really, really good. Oh, big, wow.
There's that hidden Widowmine. Yet again, this happened in the previous game, but there's not a lot back here to defend.
Meanwhile, at the front
dropping the tank forward. There is a tank there.
Oh, wow, picks off the tank in the main, too. MaSa is actually taking a lot of damage in his main. Going to lose so many workers, 14, 15. Wow.
Yeah,
this is effectively putting them all in. And meanwhile, at the front of HuK space, he's pushing.
Yeah,
going to siege up 3 of those tanks.
Comes out.
Nice, target firing one of those tanks down. Still 2 tanks left, though, and he loses the Immortal. This is tough to say. Oh, got to be careful with that Mothership Core. Can't afford to lose that. Time warps, but he's late, and he loses it. He needed those pylon overcharges.
Will this get cleaned up here?
Workers killed.
It's going to get cleaned up, but ultimately there's basically no worker count. He
9
needs to do massive damage with this.
He's down 40 supply, and that is all in workers. They are tied on army supply. If HuK holds out for more than about a minute and a half, he just wins.
Still a Zealot here going to work.
One
nice.
more
Immortal coming in.
Blink down one of those tanks.
That will do it
yeah.
Here, and MaSa does call the GG. We're at 1-1 in this series. Both very good games so far.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how players like this kind of see the map and they immediately know
what they're doing.
The exploitable places, the routes, just adapt that into the new types of play going forward. So well done there.
Yeah, and really nice maneuver at the end by HuK there.
Yeah.
He baited the bio army forward, and then swept in with the Blink Stalkers and jumped on top of the tanks and was able to pick those off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a tricky position to deal with because there were so many kind of just little spots that you didn't want to have to deal with tanks. Like they were hard to dislodge, but he maneuvered that nicely.
Yeah, for sure. And had he been able to secure that just a little longer to get the tanks up, or at least one on the high ground.
Yes.
Then move the bio up. That would be different. But he does take them out in time, and of course, there's nothing to fall back on. All the workers are dead. There's still a Zealot over there.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And it was really nice too with those Blink Stalkers. He took advantage of that little Gandalf choke point, and he bought himself about a minute and a half for those Zealots to just do incredible damage.
Yeah,
or if I may, terrible damage.
Terrible damage. Terrible.
Yeah.
Is the rate of damage that happens.
That's on a scale of 1 to 10, he did terrible damage. Which is I think that's about a 15 on that scale.
I'd say 17 just so it was a prime number.
Right. I like
important.
that. That's intelligent.
It's important you do a prime number amount of damage.
Yes. Yeah.
Because then there are only 2 factors.
Oh.
The Warp Prism and the Zealots. No other factors. So, that's what happened beautiful. Anyway. So, very strong drops.
Yeah.
With that now, particularly with the quicker warping time that comes with the Warp Prism.
Yes.
Even with the Widowmine there, it's not enough by itself to take out the...
almost, but not
quite. It's almost enough that if you had a few Marines, you could then pick it off. But there's no way now, because of the faster time, to have that happen, pick it off before the actual warping occurs.
Yes.
Because it's just so fast.
And I think I would have been very interested to see what would have happened if he'd managed to snipe that Warp Prism before it dropped.
Whole other game.
That push looks very scary.
Exactly.
He had Stim, he had a couple medevacs, he had, before the tanks got sniped, he had 3, and then a 4th and 5th would have come because he had actually a tank to debuff in the main to those
position
zones.
plus all
and then
the
an additional tank, and then
the
just
reinforcements, the
reinforcements,
tank, the about 10 more probably bio units that would
per
stream across.
like 45 seconds, probably,
So
that's. There's no way to say it. That Warp Prism won the game.
It totally, obviously did.
Yeah, but it's. I'm curious as to see in the future if we'll see something like that just become the standard with those tank pushes.
It's probably. I think this makes the whole expansion makes counterattacking a lot more of a possibility.
Yes.
On the Protoss side, it never used to be that way. You could only go around. It was usually always the Protoss disadvantage to do so.
Yes, yeah.
Protoss didn't usually want to accept the base trade.
Yeah,
now
not so
that
much.
you can actually much more readily and reinforce the position, and you could just activate all your production on that new area under that Warp Prism, it's a lot quicker, a lot faster, gives you those options.
Yes.
And
and as well, the mothership core gains a lot more utility at home as well.
Yeah.
With those pylon overcharges, you can really burst down an army as opposed to just buying time with with a photon overcharge on the Nexus. You can actually just destroy an army with a lot less supply.
Yeah, exactly, and you don't have that single target to just take out. And if they start going after your pylons, in a lot of ways, that's what you wanted them to do.
Yeah, kind of.
Having it on the Nexus itself, well, that's the target they were after anyway.
Yes.
So, of course, they're not going to hesitate to charge it down, whereas this makes them a lot more cannon-like, where, here, deal with this first. And
exactly.
So it's more of a time buffer than anything else.
And the DPS increase is just massive too.
Oh yeah,
so you can't really.
Yeah, they're
you
short,
can't ignore
but they're
that.
fast. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think 12 seconds for.
Yeah, it was 12 or 11 or something.
Yeah. It's a very short duration.
Yeah.
Much,
Also,
you can't
also remember that Blizzard patched seconds.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
Blizzard actually changed time. Back to the normal time.
Yes.
It was weird.
It was
they
1
weren't,
point.
Yeah.
What was it? 1.31 or something, or 1.38 before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's That was weird, but now we're back
in normal time.
You know what? Because we're in the void now.
That is it in time.
The legacy of the void is they gave us back time.
That makes sense.
That's amazing.
I guess.
Wow.
Time is a local phenomenon. It should actually change on each map.
Yes. Actually, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Depending
like
on your proximity to a gravity source.
Yes.
It's changed.
Yeah. What the rotation?
I think so.
Yeah.
And
the cycle.
Then they could give the black hole ability back to the mothership, and if you cast it,
it just destroys the whole planet.
The things nearer to it also they train slower, and things farther away from it stay at the same speed.
Cool.
That would be great. I guess that's kind of what Time Warp is. So,
yeah, but that's way less interesting than a whole
yeah.
black hole.
Whatever.
How great would it be if every time you cast black hole, you never was able to play that map again?
It's just gone.
Yeah, it's just